Adventurers in audio land, welcome to Point Noir, home of the Point Noir podcast. I'm your host, Jerry the Third, aka Kimono Jack, and you are here with us today for session 8. Little known fact for those of you who might not be in the podcast world, but the majority of new podcasts never make it past their 7th episode, and here we are at number 8. So shout out to you guys for the support, the encouragement, the ratings, the reviews, sharing the show. It's so awesome that you guys have gone out and shared the show with people you think would find value. We really appreciate it. And we're inspired for what we're doing, and you guys keep motivating us. So thank you so much. We're going to keep marching along week by week by week. So holler at us at session 88. We'll talk about some real stats then. Today we have another awesome guest. So without further delay, let's get to introducing them. Joining us today at The Point is our guest, Mr. Jonah Batumzi. Jonah's story was really cool, and I'm really grateful that we could capture it because, one, we were on different continents. He was in the UK and I was in the United States, so thankfully all of our technology and recording equipment worked so that we could capture this interview and have something of quality to present. But secondly, Jonah grew up as a first-generation Ugandan immigrant in the United States. So it's just really a unique opportunity to hear some of his perspective of growing up in that household, the influence that his parents had, and some of the tumultuous times that he started traveling out into the world in. He started traveling during 9/11, which was certainly dramatic, and it's just awesome that he found something out there that he thought added value to his life, and he pursued and continues pursuing. He's now based in the UK and has a company based around culture, travel, and fashion called Camp End. You can find them on Instagram at KAMPIND, and again, that'll all be in the show notes. But I think you guys will enjoy his unique perspectives and the clarity that he speaks to his journey and experience from. So sit back, have a seat, and let's jump into the session. Jonah, welcome to Point Noir, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I love it. I can hear the birds chirping in the background. Sounds like it's a beautiful day over there in the UK.
Yeah, I wish the sun was shining, but the birds are out, and it is raining a bit. So imagine that.
That's pretty typical. That's pretty much par for the course, though, out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But no, things are good.
Good. Well, I'm glad we could find the time. It's been a bit of a hectic getting the schedule together, but you know what? We're committed to making this happen. And I think we might have linked up on Twitter. I think first. I think I posted something and you replied. Is that how we got aware of each other?
I think it was, or it might have been something that you saw that we did on Chicago. But we did connect on Twitter. And yeah, you're interested to chat. And no, definitely love talking about the travel experience. You know what it means, everything that it can give. You know, people of all different age groups. Kind of a benefit to their lives. So definitely happy to connect and to build.
100%, yo. When you start venturing out or traveling, it's like you mentioned, it's not about all these demographics, just the shared experience of being somewhere new, the understanding and respect of having to adapt to circumstances that just comes naturally with traveling. That, yeah, listen, you too could be random on Twitter and just hit people up. Like, life is lit. Technology is awesome.
It's a great tool, and I love it for that reason. You can connect with anybody and talk to anybody, and it's just a means of speaking to people.
100%. I love the connection. So let's start connecting with you. Let's learn more about your origin story because I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. So my family originally is from Uganda.
Real quick, could you tell people where Uganda is?
Yeah. So East Central Africa.
Okay.
It is borders Kenya, Tanzania is there, Rwanda's there as well too, Congo's there. So East Central Africa.
Okay.
So they came to the States, to Chicago in 1975, and just started life there, really. So I was born in Chicago, and then we moved to the cornfields of Central Illinois, small town called Bloomington Normal, about 150,000 people. Illinois State University is there, if you've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Champaign-Urbana is about 30-minute drive from there. So that was an interesting place to grow up in, and to have that background of being Ugandan, and trying to assimilate, or be a part of of a different culture. So that's where my family's from.
Okay, 100%. And I love that you pointed out it wasn't kind of a cultural mix. Was there a lot of, I mean, you're first generation, so I'm guessing there was a lot of influence from Uganda in your house. I'm sure
Uh,
you had some different
definitely,
traditions and expectations in the home. Yeah.
definitely. It was, my parents would speak to me in Luganda, and they very much were trying to do the same thing as well too. They were trying to assimilate into a different culture, and think about how they raise their kids. So I think they did a very good job of connecting us to home, while at the same time letting us find ourselves as well too. Um, a great thing about that is that I was also traveling back to Uganda from a young age. So,
Okay.
you have to fly via London. So that was also giving me an awareness of just being in other places. And I mean, the impact of traveling back to Uganda has had a tremendous effect on who I am, and I think what I think, and my values and beliefs. No, it's been great.
Wow, that's great. When did you first start taking those trips back to Uganda?
Yeah, I'd say about around the age of 11, 12. So,
Okay.
quite young, and I would go back every year, every summer, and visit my grandparents, and just take it all in, take it all in.
Right. So after these experiences, which is great that you got to travel internationally so young, when when did things kind of take a different turn for you? So you grew up in Chicago, you were aware of Uganda. How did you end up in the UK?
Yeah, so the UK. So I went to university. I was at Northwestern University. I played basketball there for a year. I transferred
Hey,
to a Division two school called Lewis University, just outside of Chicago. And after my eligibility ran out, I had an opportunity to study abroad. And I remember I had options. I think I could have gone to Italy, somewhere, and the other option was Dublin.
hmm.
And I ended up going to Dublin. This was 2001, so this is just after the 11th.
Yeah, September
Uh,
11th.
exactly. Yes, I remember my flight was delayed, or canceled for a while, because no planes were flying for a while. So that was just a tremendous experience. I had been involved in basketball, and college basketball, and scholarship athlete. So that was a kind of whole different being of being a student. And I hadn't really had the typical university experience. So it was great to actually just be able to experience that, and do it abroad, amongst the mix of people from various different countries and thoughts and personalities. So it was a great time it was a great time to be abroad, really.
That's really interesting. You would say that because it was a scary time. I remember my dad used to do a lot of flying for business, and that was a big deal. September 11th really changed the attitude towards flights, and I remember I was young, and I was concerned for that. I'm so glad that you had a positive perspective on that, because what people don't often realize is um, sometimes it really shines a light on these cities or these experiences that you wouldn't have otherwise. And it's really surreal, right? Because the context is sad, but it's really interesting. The things that do surface up that become positive, they just get amplified. I feel. Did you kind of feel that experience?
Yeah, I did. Another thing as well too, like uh, yeah, Ireland wasn't in the Euro yet. They just took it up, I think, right when I was there, I believe.
Okay.
So in terms of their influx and their makeup of people, like, I mean, there weren't a lot of black people walking around. So people, I imagine, saw me and thought, they automatically thought I was from the States for some reason, or they didn't know where I was from. And you know, a beautiful thing about it as well too is a lot of people wanted to know my perspective on what I thought about it.
Mm,
And so I had to personally think critically about things that I really hadn't put much thought to.
yeah.
You know, people wanted to talk about it, have conversations about it. What did I think about it? Well, this is my perspective from my, coming from France or coming from Germany or all of these different places, and it was just like fascinating to have that mix of perspectives.
I absolutely do. I was in Paris, France, and it's different than kind of like the conversations you'll get in the States. And the French are very conversational people. They love just to discuss, their philosophers, all that sort of stuff. But you really do have to take a step back. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of us that look like us for being critical in those moments, because not everyone has that awareness of kind of taking those questions seriously, because who knows the next time they saw somebody with your general makeup that could speak to these issues where it would be relevant or even considered. Not that they're not interested in the topic. It's just like you said, there weren't many Black men around. So let's say you said something wild or just not very thoughtful, that could leave a lifelong impression on somebody. Not that you're responsible for the rest of us, but thank you for taking that consideration.
No, thank you. So that was a great. I only did that for a semester. And can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I did that for a semester, which was just it was only 3 months. So I went back to the States, graduated then December 2002, and then I started working. And the experience was just so impactful on me. I don't think I was the same person when I returned. I found it a bit kind of hard returning, to my life, and just things like that. I think my eyes had been open to, and the conversations were different again, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't having the same conversations, and so I wanted to go back abroad again, and I found an opportunity in the south of France, in Marseille. I had a very, very good friend that I met when I studied in Dublin who lived in Marseille.
Beautiful.
And I found a entrepreneurship program that was a dual degree. So I did a semester in Marseille, and then I did another semester in a place called Bremen, which is northern Germany.
Okay.
So I did that in 2005. But in 2001, I met my wife there. She is Indian and spent some time growing up in Ireland. And she, her best friend lived in my dormitory. So that's how I initially met my wife, which is how I ended up coming over at 2007 to live.
And just for the record, y'all, there's no video on this yet, but I'm taking notes. Step 1, go to Dublin. Step 2, live in dormitory. Step 3, find Indian wife. Got you. Yeah. Thank you for dropping major keys on that one. Okay. No, that's really cool, man. And so actually, just out of curiosity, what was kind of like the connection there? Did you guys connect over both being international? Did you have like what was the appeal to make that work out 4 or 5 years later to still kind of want to keep that conversation going for you two? I'm curious.
I think it was interesting. I mean, growing up, I didn't have a lot of interaction with Indian or Asian people, or so it was a whole culture that I wasn't really familiar with. When we met, I think I liked the fact that some of her values, like about family and interactions between the family, it was just different. It was very interesting, and just something that I appreciated. It felt like a lot from where I came from, and we just got on really well, right? I think we both wanted a lot of the same things, so we just made the effort to make it work.
That's awesome. I think that's a sweet story, and it's been working for you. So shout out to that, man. Shout out to that.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So how long have you been in the UK? Let's talk about that transition.
Yeah, so I've been here since 2007.
Okay.
2007. Originally I was in Manchester for around 3 years, which was great. Great city, great energy. Northern part of the country, nice people. It was good. It was a good time to be there.
Well, wait a second. Nice people if you like Manchester United, though, right? Isn't that how it works? Isn't that the deal?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. But it's good. It's good. It's a nice city to be in. You can journey across the city. You can walk across the city in a reasonable amount of time. Decent architecture, a lot of things to do. It's nice.
Okay. Awesome. So then you transitioned to London from there?
Yeah, so then we moved about an hour from Manchester. So we're in the West Midlands for a little while, for about 2.5 years, and then 2014 I moved. I'm an hour outside of London. So that's where I'm at now. That's home base.
Awesome. Super dope. So you're raising your family out there and you're working, you're living the life. What kind of has cemented you into this lifestyle? What perspectives have you gained from traveling that make you say, you know what, this is what I need to be doing?
Hold on, say that again now. Sorry.
Oh, I was asking what sort of perspectives have you gained from your travels internationally to stay committed to being so far from home, to being in a different country still? Uh,
Yeah, so for me, I mean, my parents, that they relocated to Uganda, probably about 5 years ago.
okay,
So they're based there. I have two sisters who are in the DC area, so the DMV area.
okay,
They're there. A lot of friends obviously are in the States, kind of scattered around. A lot of friends are, in Europe. So um, I feel like I'm in between the two.
hmm,
I can get to see my parents. Enjoy the fact of living in Europe, and you don't have to travel far, and you can be in a completely different culture, language, way of living.
100%.
Whereas sometimes in the States, you can move and it's still kind of pretty much the same thing.
Right.
Language is still the same, everything like that. So this is good. It's good. I'm comfortable with being abroad.
Okay. I think that's awesome. And logistics do play a factor. I just talked with a brother yesterday who wants to be in between. He wants to spend a lot of time in South Africa and Johannesburg. And he also
Yep.
has roots in Atlanta. So for him, UK is the ideal place. While you can get a direct flight from Atlanta to Johannesburg, a lot of times London is kind of centrally located for him and work. So logistics do play a part sometimes with these decisions. It seems like you've thought it through. I love that.
No, definitely, definitely, definitely. I think it's worked out well, and no, it's good. It's good. Very comfortable.
It's awesome. So I want to backtrack just a little bit because you mentioned that after just a few months in Ireland, that your perspective had changed. And one thing I love to hear about are these perspective shifts. I know when I went abroad, it was huge. It was massive. I was deeply entrenched a long time, 18 months or so overseas. What changed for you during those 3 months? What sort of sense of self was gained while you were out there in Ireland?
Yeah. So, what changed about me? I guess, like I said before, I was involved in athletics. I mean, we didn't sit around, often and talk about politics or different things like that.
You
So,
mean you didn't have time to do that while you were training 40 hours a week for your sport?
yeah,
No
yeah, didn't
way.
yeah, yeah, and then I was in study hall, and then training again, then on the bus. I mean, it just wasn't really, yeah, and I guess it was our age as well too, perhaps.
Right.
Even though you could argue against that, but it just wasn't really the lifestyle where I think that was those kind of conversations were happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just thrust into this mixture of different cultures, and people questioning it, and just making me aware of America's people's perception of America from a different lens,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding why they thought that way, and listening to what they had to say, and even like doing some own research myself,
Wow.
and I guess it just really made me um, aware of, I guess, kind of America's perception from the outside.
Hmm. So what did you think it was, and what did you realize it was, at least in that
Well,
moment
I
in
think
time?
I think growing up in the U.S., I mean, the U.S. is a great place. I mean, I tell people this all of the time. I think in terms of mind state or perception, or just what you think. I think the U.S. provides us with a great kind of foundation, as in, like, you can do you can do anything. The American dream. A
Hmm.
lot of people say the American dream isn't the American dream, but still, like, a lot of things happen there that you may never ever see happen elsewhere.
True.
Um, Obama becoming elected president. However you think about that, like I think that was like a great, like it was just like a great happening and like a moment.
Yeah, for sure. And I think while the different variations of the dream and stuff might change, it depends on context. Like there's a lot to it. Ultimately, because of just the history here, you can never discount someone for the United States. We just have this ability to innovate and create, and then our system for capitalism is wide open
Yeah,
compared to 99% of the world. Like literally anything can happen here.
yeah. So that was great. But I think a lot of times because a lot of people look to the U.S. as like number one for like films, music, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
You just think about that perspective. You just think about yourself, and you're not really thinking about other cultures and stuff. So it just great being exposed to other ones and thinking differently and thinking about problems like in the world and just things that people are experiencing just differently, expanding your perspectives.
I think you phrased it perfectly. You expanded your perspective. You were able to get a taste of something besides your normal course, and that's really dope. And it didn't take a lot of time. 3 months, not a lot of time. That's impressive.
No, it was great. I was a student, right? So everybody, you don't have the a lot of the strains about when you're working and trying to make a living and support a family and things like that. So it was just it was a great time, really, man. Um, I loved it, man. You know.
That's awesome. And I can relate. I was well, you wouldn't know this. So I ran track and field in college, and
Okay.
I understand how difficult it is to go abroad. And I think there was a post on Twitter not too long ago where somebody was kind of shaming a coach for mentioning that the team was overseas in Paris, and they were talking to a recruit, like sent a handwritten letter saying, "Hope you can join us on one of these trips." And somebody was like, "Well, you shouldn't say that to a kid, blah, blah, blah." I was like, no, you absolutely should, because some of the best talent in the nation is getting recruited from Black communities. And it is difficult once you're in this lifestyle of being an athlete to see the world and gain perspective. But why not offer that to a kid? Like that's a huge experience.
No, definitely. I've seen so many great stories. So because I was playing basketball, obviously there are people who continue to play
Hmm.
and they play professionally. So I've had a lot of friends who normally wouldn't have gotten outside of the U.S. and they've like been to just experience life uh, again, just experiencing life in different cultures through a different mean. Um, so. So no, so yeah, so you ran track and field, so you understand what it's like actually being in that lifestyle of a collegiate athlete.
Yeah, 10 months a year, 11 months a year, really. I used to run and train. I was a decathlete and a pole vaulter. So the track and field season never really stops. You start training in fall, you hit your championship season in the summer, you have a month or two to recover. And then during that time I helped my coach run training camps. So my commitment was 100% to that cause for the period of time. And yeah, that was a unique experience. So I can definitely empathize with especially being an athlete and the work ethic. Like, I'm so glad you got to go abroad, because most of us don't.
Yeah. Another great thing was on top of that, like I was able to when I was involved in athletics, like um I probably took the opportunity to gain an education for granted a bit, and
Hmm.
probably didn't apply myself as I should have. But
Sure.
once my eligibility was up, especially when I was abroad, like I was able to apply myself to the books and just learning in a different way as well too, which was another great part of it. Um, and that was a big change in me personally, in just the way of trying to obtain knowledge and want to learn another language, for example, as well too. Like I remember, as when you're growing up and you're going to school and you're learning these languages, and you're learning French, for example. You're just learning these things like un stilo, a pen, and like a book, and like you don't realize until you actually get over there that the language is actually so much different to that.
Much more fluid, much more, especially French. To me, there are three types of French. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. But your ability to apply your discipline, that sort of tenacity that you use in sports to your education, a lot of people don't make that shift very comfortably because it's work, bro. It's work.
Yeah. But it's good. It's good. It's just it's good to focus your energies in something different, or even like creatively, like you've been involved in this athletic bubble, and then like having music, or getting into the arts, and just doing something completely different, and making a transition to be a different person, really, effectively, I think.
You brought up a lot of interesting points that I think say a lot about the positive nature of your character. And before we jump into a piece of advice for maybe someone looking to travel, I'm curious how you feel about your parents' influence on you. It sounds like, I mean, were you doing these sorts of things, exploring the world, exploring ideas as a child, and how did your family dynamic play into that?
I think as a child, my mother just was really just didn't really pigeonhole us or push us, in too many corners. Like you have to do this or you have to do this. She let us explore it, do different things, and just really just find ourselves. She obviously they guided us to want us to achieve, and know that it's about hard work, and just focusing on things, but they really let us, I guess, kind of find our own paths and what we do. And I think all of us, me and my sisters, have turned out successful, and are doing well. So it's worked, and I just try to do the same for my kids and my family.
I can definitely believe that. And just in hearing about all the different perspectives and the shift of energy and focus that you've already transitioned through successfully in your life, I think a lot of that resonates with some of my own experience growing up. So I wanted to hear it from you so that others could hear, if you come up in that situation, leverage it. That is it's an advantage when you're dealing with uncertainty, when you're transitioning. You definitely probably have more than you think you do. So I really appreciate you speaking about those family values. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I love to talk about the just what it means to me, and how it's impacted my life, and just hope that other people take the opportunities to explore, really, and just see the world, really. It's a great place.
It is a great place. Yeah, I also agree. Earth is pretty dope. Love it. So let's talk about this, because I ask every guest this. What would you share as a piece of advice to someone who might be on the edge of saying, okay, I got a little bit of money stowed away. I think I want to see the world. I'm not sure. What's a practical first step or perspective for somebody to get started?
Personal, a first step, you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a first step. How would somebody potentially have a similar path to you? How would they get on that pathway?
Well, I think I just, I think research is one of the main things that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to find a culture or a place or something that you're interested in, that you want to research and experience more. For me, from my experiences studying abroad, like I don't know, I found the French to be an interesting people, an interesting community and mix of people.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they're one of the only places that was against the United States. I think when they were invading a country, and I can't remember who that was. It might have been Iraq, but and that's what I was kind of attracted to, and that's how I made like a focused effort to try to be able to spend some time there. So I think research is definitely key, in just identifying the type of places that you want to go to. And then just making that jump. If you're fortunate enough to have the money and the passport, I know I heard about the effort that you're doing to make people get help them get passports. I think that's just a great thing. Um, just taking the opportunities. There are people who sometimes don't get outside of their own cities. So you have the chance to, even just explore the U.S. or get abroad. Just take the opportunity and just go.
I think that's very great advice, and I love that you contextualize it not just for internationally but domestically. On this show, it's not just about international travelers. We have some brothers with killing stories about traveling domestically. Uh, but either way, you're going to need to research. You're going to need to kind of have an idea. And with technology, like we talked about before, man, you have the world at your fingertips. Literally, you could be on the train home and learn what's going on in Uganda or, Thailand or, Beijing. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? What do you say? What are your thoughts about that?
I ask the question so often. I haven't, I haven't done it myself, but I think we come from a very similar standpoint. Before I left and went overseas, that was a 9-month, 7-month plan. Like I really put
Yeah,
in research, and it wasn't just about, costs and expenses, which I understand from my business background, but it was about mindset and mentality. I literally did exercises where I imagined and put myself in the worst case scenario. Okay, let's say that you lose all your money and your heart gets broken and it's raining, on the Seine River in Paris, France, and you don't have anywhere to stay and you're homeless. Okay, what are you going to do? And if that thought doesn't overwhelm you, you know what? You might be able to handle it, because the chances of the worst case scenario happening, you just losing the lottery of life right now, are so slim. And you already have a plan in case it happens. That's really what got me through.
gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But another reason why I do the show, not to get off topic, was I didn't have an access point like this where I could just hear other people who were doing it. Like how much I hope, and I already know that your story is going to inspire confidence in somebody because you can speak to it so well. But there wasn't anything like this, in 2013, 2014 when I was trying to leave. I couldn't just have a curated selection of people's stories and journeys to use as reference points.
No, that's great. That's great. There's been a big movement going on, and just speaking to representation, just seeing all different types of colors of people just traveling and moving about and exploring the world. I think it's nothing but a positive thing. And you need to see these different faces and different stories just to inspire yourself sometimes to make that leap.
Exactly. I get thrilled just talking to you guys, and we were talking about some of the audio issues that potentially might happen, but crossing our fingers won't happen with this episode. But like dead ass, I'm just gonna fly to London and we're gonna make this happen in person because that's how awesome this is. Um,
Yeah, definitely. Got to
and
stop through.
yeah, and at this point, I'm just that cat that'll get on a flight because I don't care. Um, so flipping the lens back to you, what's next for you? Do you have any other travel goals that you want to hit? Any other initiatives or ventures that you're working on? Let's hear what you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. So, my wife and I have a company called Compend. So the name comes from Kampala is the capital of Uganda, where my mother's from. And obviously my wife is Indian, so it was really a mixture of both of our cultures and backgrounds. And our daughter was born in 2014, so it was youthfully kind of inspired by her. So we started creating actually baby bandanas made from African fabrics and Indian fabrics, and made blankies for kids. And it was just a creative way to express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I also write as well too, and do a bit of design. So this is a creative outlet for us, that we are just trying to, I guess, inspire people about culture, and about the world, and finding out about different cultures, just exploring really. Culture, travel, and fashion is what it's based off of. So that's what I'm working on. And just recently finished a multimedia piece on Chicago. So I'm from Chicago. It's been a lot, been in the news a lot lately. I think received a lot of bad press. So through Twitter, through social media, I encountered a lot of people who are just doing positive things and trying to impact the community. And there's just some beautiful stories coming out of there. So I just released that a few weeks ago. So very, very happy about that, and happy to just have the time to just reflect on creating that.
Wow, that's awesome. And a couple things to note in what you just shared. One, isn't it incredible how just one piece of clothing or an accessory can have such a deep story when you really look into the culture and the identity of just that garment? I think that's awesome that the intention to inspire through that is aligned with your business. Like, it's really incredible once you start traveling, like, oh, this is where that pattern comes from, or this is the story behind that inspiration. That's super dope.
No, definitely. I think they're all connected. It's just a circle, through all the way through to fashion. A lot of times you're wearing things to express your personality, which is your feeling, and like you said, it could be connected to a particular place based off the pattern, and that's you saying, "This is who I am," and hey world, this is me.
Wow, I've actually had an increased appreciation for fashion since living in Paris. It's not obvious, but it just happened to work like that. Um, and yeah, we'll have to talk. Maybe I can get some pocket squares or something to wear with my suits. And the second
Yeah,
thing
we got you.
you were saying?
No, I said we got you.
Oh, perfect, cool. I'm gonna get on a flight shortly. And the second thing, this kind of reminded me when you mentioned Chicago and why you're doing or have done the work you're doing there. It reminded me of your trip to Ireland, where in the midst of negative press and bad news, you're finding these gems, these sparkling jewels. So can you tell us a little bit more about the project with Chicago, the title, and just how you're finding these inspirational stories? Because I think it's important.
Yeah, so the title of it was Celebrate Shy. So celebrate everything that's positive about Chicago amidst all of this negativity. And I think you made a good point. Like it's amidst all of this kind of negativity that there is people like really trying to do positive things through various ways. I was on Twitter. I find myself on Twitter in these rabbit holes, just looking at people, what they're saying, and getting into different conversations. And I came across this Chicago public school teacher, second year teacher, who took a group of 6 students to Paris and to Barcelona as well too. I mean, when I saw the photos, I just had to get in touch with her and reach out to her, and she was happy to talk. And it was just a beautiful story, and I was great. It was just great to capture that. Just based off of all of the points that we have discussed on this show, and all of the things that you explore with other guests. So there were just a lot of things of people doing inspirational things to be positive and to help the kids, and a lot of it is about the youth, which I think is great, because that's the future, really.
100%. And again, this show promotes positivity, and we don't even have to try, y'all. We just call awesome people like Joan on the show, and like it's positivity included. I love it, man. I really do. So where can we find Celebrate Shy? What platforms is it on? How can we get access or get a teaser video?
Yeah, so it will well, I'll send you one direct, but
Thank you.
we have a website. It's campind.com, which is KAMPIND.com, so you can connect to it via there. We're also on all the social media platforms, so at Campind.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there is a link to it from there. We're also on Instagram as well too. So I have it on the link to my bio. It's there as well too. So definitely check it out. Let us know what you think. We connected with some cool people. There's a bit of poetry going in there. There's an open mic night. There's some cool fashion stuff. People are doing some really creative things in Chicago, and it's really pushing the culture forward, really.
I love it. I love the positivity. I love the angle. I like that you guys got the social media platforms on lock. And as he mentioned, he's definitely active on Twitter. That's how we linked up. That More people like you, more people with that sort of ideology, I think, is only going to help us all together. So I know we're running short on time because we had some technical things to work out. I appreciate your patience so much, bro. But thank you for stopping by and sharing your story. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you, thank you. Definitely want people to check this out. We'll be promoting it. We think you're doing a great thing for the community and just people in general, man. Just sharing people's stories, which is great.
I enjoy it. I hope you did too. And I know our listeners definitely got some value. You shared some amazing perspectives. But we're going to be in touch. Definitely going to have all your info in the show notes, all the projects you're up to. And this has been another awesome session at Point Noir. Thanks for joining us, Jonah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Take care, bro.
Cheers. Bye.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jonah. Make sure to check him out on Instagram at Campind, Kampind. And he's also there on Twitter. He just went on a pretty cute family vacation. They took such cute pictures of the kids, and he's just got a great vibe. So I really appreciated getting a chance to sit and talk to him and get to know his story better. And what's really cool is that the more we talk, the more similarities I got to learn about him. And it's just a really unique experience to connect with someone that's a continent away, as a virtual stranger, and walk away and have a stronger connection than when you started. So maybe you guys give that a chance in your own life. Just start asking people questions. Ask them about their stories. This has been session 8. We're super stoked for it, and as always, appreciate the support, the motivation. We're going to keep trucking. We're going to keep going. We're not going anywhere, y'all. So make sure to definitely share the news that we are sponsoring men of color to get their passports every month. All you have to do is follow Jerry the Third on Twitter, at him, and say what having a passport would mean to that man of color, and make sure to include the hashtag Passpoint18. We'll respond to every single person, and we're really out here looking for people to sponsor and trying to make it as easy as possible. So if you haven't heard it 50 times already, this has been another amazing session, session 8 here at The Point. I'm Jerry the Third, as always, signing off.